All right, greetings, groovy geographers and geologists. This video is an update on Lab 1 for Geography Geology 106, which is weather and climate. Um, some of the folks have been emailing with questions specifically around the geographic features. There was recently an update to Google Earth, so let's go ahead and take a look at it together. So I have just reopened Google Earth. I this machine was just reinstalled at the beginning of January, so it would have the new version on it. Okay. So I don't need this. Okay. So you're just starting the app will look like this. Ta-da! Now looking at the beginning of the lab, it's telling us to go ahead and have everything unchecked. This is the view panel over here. You can see where my mouse is, where the layers tab is. This is where you're going to be doing, for this lab, a lot of the selections. So it's having you turn off everything first because it wants you to explore around for a bit. So go ahead and turn all everything things off. Google Earth is an example of geographic information systems, which is a software hardware analysis package that uses the idea of layers to do different data. So each layer is a different type of data. So each of these little things that we just checked on and off is going to have a different amount of data. So you start the lab with everything checked off because it will help you go through and kind of add stuff. Okay, so it sounds like most people didn't have a problem with finding Mount Hood. We can go ahead and do that together. Again, search up here at the top. You can go and just type in Mount Hood. You can do the one in Oregon. You can do it's a mountain and a city actually. So um, we'll zoom into Mount Hood. Do 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 do. You can see it is very flat and boring at the moment. Brr, 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 brr. Nice and flat and boring. And so now you're going to start adding things to get some of the more layers so that you could do some of the analysis on this lab. So for example, number one, you can do by just looking at the screen here in the bottom. I'm trying to see when we actually start to press buttons. Da, 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 da. Um, okay, the geographic features layer. That's the one people are struggling with. So we do have this new thing here. Oh, I don't want this. No, go away. Um, The imagery insights is new. We're not going to use it for this lab because I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. But I'm confirming that the geographic features does not exist any longer. So instead, you're going to go to the more section. Let me move this down here. The more section. I wish I could make this bigger or make this go away. Go away. I have no idea what that little button is. Okay, so again, I can move this up here. Working again in layers, which is where we would have found geographic features back in the old version. We're going to be looking at some other stuff instead. The main purpose of this lab is just to get you used to exploring Google Earth Pro and get you used to following the instructions for geographic information systems labs. This lab is not a weather specific lab, so I'm not going to be asking you questions on exams about the elevation of Mount Hood and its glaciers and whatnot. It's more about this lab as the first lab for the class. I want you to feel comfortable playing with the software. Okay, so there currently is no geographic features, so we're going to go ahead and use one of the other embedded layers in the software program. And so the layers here are, this is what has come standard with Google Earth Pro. For future labs, we'll be embedding things, but this is what it comes standard with. And we're going to go ahead and use, under the more things, you'll see a whole bunch of other stuff that other people have added. And so we're going to go ahead and go to Wikipedia. Yes, Wikipedia is problematic. However, There are ethical ways that we use Wikipedia, and there are smart ways to use Wikipedia. For this lab, which has been vetted by other professionals, I am not concerned about you getting incorrect information about Wikipedia. Again, this is an example of using an embedded data layer in a software package program, which is what this is. Okay, so it's hard to see what happened when we click on the Wikipedia is it's gonna will have turned on a bunch of little icons. So you can see this one right here. And again, they're hard to see, so feel free to adjust your zoom in if you need to. But now you can see this little W has populated here, and it says Mount Hood National Forest. There should be more if we zoom out. Let me move my annoying face out of the way. If we zoom out, there should be some more. Again, they're white against snow, which is not a helpful a helpful thing to find. I know there's more on there. Um, so let's see, one of the borders and labels layer. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on as well. It's gonna bring some things up here, including some answers to some questions. So turning on borders and labels, and I've got borders and labels. Again, the geographic features is gone. Labels is no longer expandable. That's what these right these little dots right here are going to be. So this is just an update. Those of you who are taking Geography 300 later this semester, unfortunately, whenever you have an open source software package or like this is an open source, well, it's not open source, it's an open access geography package. Things change, and then you're like, why? I had all these things I wanted to do. The green icon. Now I'm looking at question number 4 in your lab. The green icon that I was hoping was going to have info. I'm going to zoom in. It's this one right here. And this is going to be an example of the borders and layers. Again, zoom in super close as we can. It doesn't make it any bigger. Some of it, oh, I should say, if you have a problem with the zooming or the actual vision on your Google Earth Pro, like if you have low vision, as I say this with my giant glasses on, um, there are settings you can do to change the zoom settings so that it's easier for low vision users. Just I can post it, or I mean, you can Google it. It's pretty out there. But if you're having difficulty seeing the size of any of the font, that's something that is fixable. Okay, so you turn everything on. You should now see the green icon, and that's going to be this one right here. Now you'll notice we go to click on it, and a whole lot of nothing happens, which is annoying. Um, because that's what's supposed to open up the stuff. It no longer really does. What I want, and then you click on this one here, which opens one of these mini boxes. This is where you're going to get your information from. And so this is an example of embedding information into a Google Earth layer. So I can now confirm that for questions 4 and 5, the geographic features, which no longer exist, is not going to have that information. So this is where we're going to use that Wikipedia layer. Let me zoom back out. Zoom, 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 zoom. And so here's our Wikipedia layer. Do. So see, I knew there's another one. So now I'm going to click this one instead. And this is the thing I wanted you to find. And this used to be embedded in geographic features. So the data about Wikipedia has been embedded into this layer. And yes, Wikipedia is highly fallible, but this will work here for now. This will help get you through 4 and 5. It should also get you through 6 and 7, looking at the questions. Um, and then you'll see some updates on the Google Earth. What else are we looking at here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so that should get you through most of that um, fix around the geographic questions one. The other question some folks had was about the soils, um, which I have to actually go to a separate site. So hold on, let me pause the video. So I'm going to go ahead and go directly to this website here, which is the UC Davis soil web, and so this is for part two. So starting at question 16. KMZ is the file type that we use for Google Earth Pro. Um, it's a specialized file type that is specifically for geographic information systems. So, we have gone to an external data source. This is from UC Davis. They have a great soils program. I did my soils work there as an undergrad. It was a lot of fun. Highly recommend. Um, so now we're going to go to Soil Web Earth. And you can see here that they have a KML file, which is very similar to a KMZ file. And it tells you specifically you're going to be using Google Earth Pro. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Boop. And it's going to go ahead and do some thinking and download our file that we want. And then once you've downloaded it, you can go ahead and just click on it directly, and it should open it immediately into Google Earth as it's contemplating its life because I have terrible internet connection. Okay, so now what's happened is our new data, and I think it's got a warning message for, is it cranky at me? No, it's not cranky. Oh, that's a miracle. Okay. Our new data is in somewhere called temporary places. So I'm going to go ahead and move this again. We're still at Mount Hood, which I am going to change in a minute. But the layer section we saw earlier is stuff that kind of comes standard pre-installed with your Google Earth Pro stuff. If you want to add your own data that you have gotten from either A, your professor in this case, or that you've done collecting of yourself, it's going to go up into places. This is where you have added things. And temporary places is where you're going to put the stuff that you've just downloaded and you haven't really had a chance to vet yet to make sure it's good. For more advanced GIS classes, we're going to talk about the dangers of the temporary places, but for this lab, we're not going to build on soils. So this is something that you can keep temporary. We're not going to go onto it. But we're going to go ahead and let's go somewhere that actually has interesting soil, which would be Davis, California. Again, as an Aggie, I am biased. I have no problem saying it. Okay, so we're going to go to Davis. Only seems fair since we're doing our Davis soils. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is you'll see a bunch of weird stuff. Let's go ahead and go back to, remember at the beginning we turned off all of our data. Sometimes it's kind of nice to just do a refresh and be like, what the heck am I looking at? So let's go ahead and turn all this stuff off. I'm gonna turn all this stuff off. Okay, so all that is off. We still have some weird things here. That's weird. We're gonna turn off soil web and see what happens. Ooh. Huh. That's interesting. So now you can see that there are two different areas where if we put our data, there's the stuff that came with it, which in this case it was just borders and labels, which we don't specifically need for Davis. Most of you probably know where Davis is. Um, but the soil web is the one that is interesting. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and open that bad boy up. This little caret here is how you access all of the information when you have a KMZ or a KML file. That's a way of saying that there's a lot of data hidden in there. In this case, it's going to be all this chaos. So much chaos, so much stuff. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to, let's try to think one of my old addresses I used to live at back in the day. Um, Sycamore still there? Sure. Here we go. Okay. This is not my house. Don't go bug me. But this was a house once upon a time when I went to Davis. Okay. All right. So we're going to zoom in here. Whoops. And this is an example of what you're going to get for your soil profiles. Now, a lot of folks have been concerned because they're getting stuff like the a name or the urbanized area, built up area. As you can see from this picture here, Davis is actually pretty rural. I mean, it is an ag school. I was an ag major. So this is going to be a lot of I actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do something a little more. So I want to show an example. Many of you, if you put in an address, are going to get something that's called urban area. And you're like, why am I not getting any interesting data? And that's because that's a polite way of saying we paved over it. Is what that is. Wah, wah. Okay, so we've got our soil web here. Yes, I know, I know. And then, oh, yeah, here we go. Urban land. So you can see here urban land. If you've been to Berkeley, you know that Berkeley is a pretty urban environment. So urban land is a polite way of saying we paved it all over. If you have this image here, the urban land or unnamed, no data, you did not do anything wrong. That just means that the location you chose has so much concrete and cement everywhere that we're not even going to bother trying to talk about the soil because you can't get to it anyway, right? It's all been paved over. This is extremely common in the Bay Area, extremely common in any major city. So if you get this, don't feel bad. You're good. I'm going to show you some stuff in Davis because Davis has less paved area. But again, this is extremely common. It just means that we've destroyed the soil so much, there's no point in trying to analyze it. Wah, wah. Humans are good at that. Okay, let's go back to Davis. Whee. Okay, I'm gonna pick some cool farmland out here. Um, I gotta make sure my soil things as you have to make sure that it's highlighted, and now you can see all this cool yellow stuff come up. And again, this is not a soils class, so this is more just a thing that is fun to explore, and to show you the capability of Google Earth Pro. Um, we are not going to be doing more soils beyond this. I am a giant soil nerd, so I like talking about soils, but this is not a soils class. Okay, so in a non-urban area, this is what you might see, and so you can see I have. So number 16 is asking, what type of soil is your house built on? And you can talk about there's a mix here, which is very common for soils to be mixed. We've got some pescadero, we've got some cape, we've got some marvin, we've got some willows, and these are all types of soils, right? And so that would be something you could put for that. And then it's going to be asking for geomorphic position, and that's when you go into the name in the little box here. So Pescadero silty clay, the very, very top one here. So Pescadero silty clay, click that bad boy open, and it's going to be a lot of words. There we go. Third time's the charm. Okay, so this is what you're going to see when you open up the website with detailed information. Again, this is way more information than you need for this class. This is just an example of the kind of data that is available out there to use for geographic and geological analysis. And so this is going to have all information about, what kind of soil do you have, physiographic features, and you're just gonna kind of hunt around here. Do you control F to find some cool stuff, to find the answers to the things. I'm not basically through 16 through 20. I'm not gonna be checking to make sure that you wrote that it is 7.5% clay versus 2.73% silt. That's not what I care about. I want to see that you were able to explore a soils in a place that you found interesting. As long as you have something there that is related to soils, you're good. Again, this is not a soils class. Okay, cool. I think those are the big questions I got was the soils questions and the geographic features questions. Any other questions, shoot me an email and let me know if there's anything else I can help with. Again, this is not uncommon. Lots of things change with especially GIS types. Oh yeah, my internet just died. Okay. Thanks, and I'll see you all later.